we unfortunately got the news that Kevin Owens apparently is out with a neck injury. I don't think it's a work. As far as I can tell, it's a real deal thing. He does have a neck issue. He does need surgery. I saw a report that he could be out for 2 years. These are the things that you hope maybe aren't true. But when you're dealing with a neck, it kind of seems like that might be the right amount of time to stay out. So, sending best wishes out to Kevin Owens, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. And you just hate to see that happen.
Yeah. And, I saw him speak on a podcast, and my apologies for not knowing the title off the top of my head. But
we see so much; it's hard to keep it all.
But shouts out to you for breaking this news. It really hurt his feelings that the dirt sheets kind of let the internet know about his injury before he could. Before he could let the fans know where he is with his own medical history, for it to be out and gossiped upon. Bugged him. And as a wrestling fan, one is a wrestling fan, and then on the other side is as somebody who's trying to get their own show to pop off. I do miss the days where I was surprised. I do miss the times where I didn't have whispers of things possibly going down just for them to be confirmed and me waiting for it to happen. But I do understand that people are trying to run a business. People got their things that they're trying to get off the ground, and we live in a time where being first with the news is really what's important to people. And
it's not about being right.
Yeah, just being first sometimes. And in this situation, yes, they were right, but I personally, and I'm sure somebody somewhere is telling me to kiss their ass, but
every day
there has to be some sort of etiquette when it comes to the medical stuff. And if everybody plays with those rules, then we'd all be okay. But you can't rely on people.
There are HIPAA rules. You can't discuss somebody's medical history, right? But the thing is, I'm one of the people I didn't know, so it was a complete shock and a surprise to me. So, but I can understand that how that would kind of affect you, because mentally it's already got to be crushing, right? To know the one thing that you love, not the one thing obviously, but the thing you love is going to be taken away from you, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So you could see right off the bat, at least I thought, all right, this is not a work, this is a shoot. He's a good actor, he's not that good. And the disappointment just from his body language and his face. And if this turns out to be a work, then give him the Emmy. Because I'm totally buying it, and I'm wishing him the best.
I felt like he didn't milk the moment. It felt kind of rushed. It felt like he didn't want to do it. It felt like he didn't want to be in the ring talking about this. Let me just say what I have to say and get out of here. The pace of it felt like somebody disappointed and frustrated
and hurt.
And then
because you're missing Mania.
And getting to work with Randy. And walking to the ramp. A fan says something slick when Kevin Owens is his most vulnerable, and don't get your ass whooped, y'all.
Right.
All right. When these I'm the heel that you love to hate. I love a good heckle. Lord knows I've given it to many a WWE ref, because I know they can't do shit anyway. So it's just do your job, ref. What do you want him to do? But when it's a situation like that, and it's somebody telling you that they don't know if their dream is over, maybe don't take that time to try to kick him on his way out the door.
Right.
Or you might get your ass whooped.
It's up to you. If that's what you're looking to happen.
If you just went out the house and was like, man, I need an ass.
I would love to just get throttled.
Yeah, man. What is my problem? So, big ups to Kevin Owens for everything that you've done to entertain us, and we hope to see you back soon.
No doubt, man. And then, so right after that, he's getting ready to leave. Here comes Randall K. He comes to the ring. They have this little moment on the apron. Randy said something. KO jumps down. He walks back, has the interaction with the fan. And then Randy's in the ring. He's looking very disappointed because, again, it's WrestleMania. And who knows
How many manias we got?
Randy probably is looking like he's got far fewer ahead of him than he has behind him, and I don't think there's any disrespect to say that. The man's been in the game 2 decades. And then Nick Aldis has to unfortunately tell Randy Orton that, WrestleMania looks like it's not going to happen, which of course you can always see the writing on that wall. You're going to get dropped. And so Nick Aldis gets RKO'd, Randy walks out, which to me, I feel is a perfect way to introduce Nick Aldis as not the GM, but is Nick Aldis, the former, and I guess, and still, he never retired, so still current wrestler, former NWA world champion, former TNA star. If you look at the man in the suit, I think it's still obvious he's still pretty jacked. I saw him at WrestleMania last year in Philly. I'm 6'3". I looked up at him. So Aldis has to be 6'4", maybe 6'5". Maybe this is the time that, I always thought we might get Aldis again, for control of something against Adam Pearce, because they're both former NWA world champions that the WWE universe, for the most part, isn't familiar with them as wrestlers. I always thought that maybe it would be cool to get those two, but now maybe Nick Aldis gets a WrestleMania match.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, or, there's some other guys that have gotten signed recently that we know of. Miro.
Yeah.
Rusev, I guess, as he's known in WWE.
Machka.
Malachi or Aleister Black. Yeah. He's back. Do one of those guys slip into this WrestleMania spot to be Randy's dance partner? Right. It could be. We saw a guy this Saturday that I thought, man, it would be great to see him come back and maybe do something, Randy. And we'll talk about that later. You got a lot of prospects, but I think one thing's for certain: Randy Orton is going to be on the card for WrestleMania. I don't think you can leave him off at this point.
Yeah, and when it comes to those new signings, that puts the company in a weird position of like, do I make? Because, we all were waiting for Randy's revenge at Mania.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we all were waiting for. And so when you bring in a guy that you just signed back, as a company, you have to ask yourself, do I want to start him off with a loss? Or, do I want Randy to lose at Mania, especially with Backlash being in St. Louis the next month?
Yeah.
So, there's a bunch of questions being raised. Of course, as fans, we just have to sit and wait. But speaking about that dude we saw this weekend, that would be hilarious. Watch new episodes of No Contest Wrestling every Wednesday or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram.